Yeah, it's a great team. I mean, the top, I don't want to cut it short, so I'll just say their lineup is really good. It's veteran players. When we went to Tuscaloosa last year, it's like almost all of them, to a guy, are still there. And they're much better. Like, they've improved. They got a lot of good arms. And they can just keep kind of running them at you. And, and they fight, obviously. So, not a surprise. Knew this was going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough series. And, you can't substitute for experience in this league sometime, and they have a lot of it.
When they scratch their starting pitcher, does that impact the game plan at all at the plate?
It does, but we're ready. Yeah, I mean, it's us being ready and knowing what we're going to do is never, ever going to be an issue in terms of that side of things.
Can you evaluate Griffin tonight?
Yeah, I thought he did good. He got pitch count up again, came close to finishing it like 3 or 4 times. And, and I'm not even saying this happens, but sometimes with a young pitcher, whether it's the end of the inning, the end of an outing, sometimes you start thinking about, gosh, I just need one more in that result instead of getting out your plan and executing. But I thought he executed great, and that's not an easy lineup, I mean, honestly, like, not all those guys are great matchups for him. And, you could kind of see it coming with getting the first guy out was huge. But, we walked a couple of those guys that had pinch hit down at the bottom of the order, and then you're into the mess with those really, really good hitters. Not where we wanted to be, but I want to say he had like 3 guys with 2 strikes. And, I have a plan in my head that we got a trump card we can use in that situation again now. And we'll be ready for it and make sure we execute it.
Were you just kind of like, again, just wanting to see him just get out of it? Is that why?
No. I mean, he's going to pitch once a week. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's going to do, And he's not going to go twice in a weekend. And so we fired our bullet, with him tonight. So there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, I do think he can start. He can get both left and right-handed hitters out. And obviously we do everything we can to protect these guys, and that's what's best for him right now.
Your offense tonight, 6 runs with 2 outs, but a lot of guys left on base in the later innings. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, and I've said this, and it not running from the question at all, but when you get a lot of guys on base, and I think we're a top 3 or 4 team in the country in on-base percentage, you're going to leave more on. However, there's a few more at-bats that if they were a little bit more quality and maybe guys staying within themselves, how we typically do, then I think we could have opened up the game a little bit more. And so I'll go back tonight and I'll look at which ones were, hey, Alabama executing a pitch versus, hey, maybe we tried to do too much or got outside of our plan. But getting runners in from third with less than 2 outs, we're awesome at it. 2 guys didn't do it. And then we just got 3 really good at-bats after that to get those guys in. 2-out hitting, 2-out RBIs, we call them Goldens. Like, that's what they're called for us. And we've been great at it. And we left a few on the table tonight. And part of that was they executed some pitches.
Does Milazzo bring something different to Paul's outings, essentially a little bit, versus Brady versus Trubisky?
That's a good question. I mean, Paul was very successful with Brady catching him until he got hurt. Paul's been very successful with Alex catching him, and I think if we put Aiden back there, it wouldn't change much. Alex is he's playing great. I mean, on both sides of the ball, and he has a solid understanding of what's going on. Wes was really leaning on him in the 9th inning there on some things, and you trust him fully. I mean, he's going to be a player, for several more years, but he's going to be a heck of a coach someday.
Big 9th inning there for Bryce. What did you see from him?
It was great. I don't think I've ever done this. I actually jogged out before I shook the other coach's hand and high-fived him because that was great. Great poise. He's been really good for us Tuesday night, and there were some parts of Tuesday that were good, but wasn't his best performance in a while. And I could tell when I went out to the mound to get him, like, he was poised. And again, like, I don't want to sidle pink me. I mean, it starts with Jarvis, but that whole lineup, they do a great job with 2 strikes. And Temez is like the best one. And so it's like, you want to keep him in the park first and foremost so he doesn't tie the game. But with 2 strikes, you're looking there going like, he's not an easy guy to get out. So he singles, and then he falls down 3-0 to a guy that's had 15 homers, and he just got himself right back in. It was good morning, good afternoon, good night. And, that's a real credit to his maturity and growth as a pitcher, and we really needed that execution. I'm really proud of him for that execution.
Another absences were brief, but how big of a deal was it to get White and Morgan back for 9?
What do you think? And I'm not being a smart aleck at all. You know, I mean, Tommy has what, close to 70 RBIs. It's not quite to a game, but you know, a couple of those RBIs might have come in handy on Tuesday. So, yeah, it's awesome. And more than just being okay to play, like those guys couldn't play on Tuesday. Like this wasn't like we were resting them; they couldn't play. But they looked good tonight, and that was great.
With Paul, is one of the most impressive things about him is there's so much out on him. There's so much data on him, and no one seems to figure it out against him.
You know, that's a question for our opponents probably, but just with that type of ability, that type of mix, that type of execution, you can put the best plan together you possibly can, and the best result you're going to get is you're going to make it hard on him. But you're going to have to. It's like the Rocky IV movie. Like to beat me, he's going to have to kill me. You know, like he's Ivan Drago in that regard. So.
Do you think sometimes his stuff is so good it catches the home plate up off guard? I
do. Yeah, and again, the umpiring in the SEC is phenomenal. I think that could possibly be a real thing.
Any more?
I mean, if it catches the hitters off guard, then it's fair to say that it could catch an umpire off guard.
Well, there's so many times there are balls that are balls for an opponent whose stuff is lesser, and then it's a strike for someone that's lesser, and then it's a ball for Paul, and it's right down the middle.
Yeah, that very well could be possible. And I mean, I would never put on umpire gear ever in my life. I have no desire to be in those guys' shoes at all. But you know, it's harder to hit. I would guess it's harder to call balls and strikes sometimes.
We didn't ask about Dylan Cruz. Obviously, with that 3-run home run tonight, again, did the same thing in the Ole Miss series. Again, just I don't know how many other ways we can ask how good he is or what works for him, but what did you think of his performance tonight?
Phenomenal. And you know, the first at bat, their starter did a good job in the first inning, and it was like, whoa, that you never see it go like that for him. And then that was the second at bat, and then in the last at bat where he singled, the guy called a strike that was not a strike. And nobody knows his zone better than Dylan. Period. And it was just no problem. Just poised, let the ball get on him, and smoked it to right. Like he has no peer in college baseball right now, and there's not very many at the highest level that can do the things that he can do.
With Skeens, how would you evaluate his outing tonight? It seemed like he was getting his pitch counts up a little early, but still finished with 9 strikeouts, no walks.
Yeah, that's it. When you strike that many guys out, the count's going to go up, and that's the tough part about it. The 5th inning was huge. You know, we got a 9-pitch inning right there in the 5th. I might be off by a couple pitches, but that allowed him to go get the 6, which obviously was super, super important.
Do you think about running him out for the 7th?
No.
He was at 109.
No, we were good. We were good where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, hey, if we're trying to win the national title tonight,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be something we'll consider. You know what I mean? And he's a lot bigger than me, so I really have to hold my ground sometimes when I take him out of the game.